just facilitates the tackling of crime quickly and effectively.
Thank you. We will come to you. Then we also have here on my left Mr. Ernest Ansah, who is an independent security analyst. Thank you, Mr. Ansah, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Did you travel together?
Yeah, we both came together on the same journey, so we have a quite smooth journey. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Today, I mean, we're going to talk about a number of things, areas, you know. Some say 419, some say other things, and I think we're going to start with you. But before then, do you want to do a little introduction about people to know your background and your knowledge in this area of work?
Yeah, I've been doing research on different areas, but mainly focusing on security for corporate and military capabilities. So mainly my work has focused on doing military capability, specializing in how military adapt their systems and approach into 21st century for tackling issues within the military capability side as well as the civilian side, because both goes hand in hand.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about the root cause of this crime that we have in about armed robbery. Armed robbery is a very scary thing, you know, in our continent. You have them in Ghana, those Nigeria. I remember I have a friend, you know, who was going to Ghana for the first time. Yep. And then he was saying to me, what are his experiences when he goes there in terms of crime? That was the first thing he wanted to know. What is it like? Can he walk around every area? Is there areas he cannot go? Then I also have a friend, a cousin rather, who also was going to Nigeria. And he wanted to know where he can go and stay. And then my Nigerian friend was saying, oh no, you can't go to certain areas, you can't go, some places have become a no-go area. People are sleeping nighttime, and then they have locks after locks because of armed robbery, and it's happening everywhere. You know, in future we'll be showing videos about armed robberies, things that has happened in the community from the police and different sources that will help in terms of our understanding and what we're talking about. So the youth now are rising and they're all moving towards quick money. A lot of them, you know, rather joined a gang of armed robberies rather than work because they make quick back. It's very fast. Do you think armed robbery is in the increase in Africa and places like Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Uganda? You know, is it a problem? Do you think that it's an area whereby we are struggling with it and the root causes of all this?
Yes, I strongly believe that it is a problem that it is very prevalent, and with modern technology, especially social media, and that now the reporting and the visibility of it is becoming very, very common now. Focusing on the root causes of these issues, we've got a couple of different facets that contribute to this. We can look at the economy, the rural migration, how jobs are scarce and all the youths are coming to...
Is armed robbery an African problem? Is it just an African problem, well, like a Ghanaian problem, like a Nigerian problem, or, you know, compared to the West?
If we zero it down and say it's an African problem and it's a Ghanaian problem, then that will be stereotyping. Yes. Armed robbery and crime is a problem that is pervasive, right? It is everywhere. Look at the US, look at UK per se. Even people who are up north, people who are down south down in Cornwall and that. When they look at coming to London, some of them are scared because of the knife crime reporting, right? And some people even move their children back to Ghana or back to Africa. There's a very case that comes to my mind that a woman won a court case that he was taking his son to Liberia and the husband was preventing him, and the judge ruled that, the woman is right. The woman can't take the child to Liberia to safeguard the child because the woman was scared for the life of the child because of knife crime in London. So if we are just saying that, okay, armed robbery or burglary or stuff is specifically pertaining to Ghana, then we're not doing ourselves any favor. We are not belittling or we are not minimizing the issue that we have a problem. We all have a problem, but we should focus on the root causes and how we can deal with it effectively.
So, root causes. What are the? What is the problem then?
Well, if you rephrase the question in another sense, I would say we can contextualize this question and say, is crime only pervasive in Africa? No. Armed robbery in UK and US, if you look at the data, is even prevalent as compared to the numbers that we get in if we do the comparative analysis in Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and other geopolitical areas. If you compare the data in crime, the rate at which crime is rising, if we take armed robbery specifically, compare that to what the data is that we have in America, it's far outpaced the numbers that we have compared to almost all Africa together. So it's not a specific problem tailored to Africa that is becoming uncontrollable. But the bottom line is, are we willing to deal with this problem in the context as we see to in our domains or in our specific countries? Because it's something that has root causes. And if we actually want to look at the root causes, definitely we'll be able to deal with it from policy point of view. And also through creating awareness and also by making the right infrastructure, putting the right infrastructure in place to tackle this problem. So it has not gotten to a crisis or even a chronic state. It's something within containable that if we actually will, if we have the will to deal with that, I think we will be on the right course to handle this.
Okay, so a bit to add to that, right? We shouldn't be waiting for it to hit the crisis point. But as I was saying, that we're looking at the root causes of the problem. I did mention earlier that there are a few facets that contribute to the problem. Employment is one of them. But if we are looking at it from the geographical point of view, let's look at all the surrounding countries bordering Ghana per se. Okay, we look at the war that went on in Libya. We knew that there were loads of arms were pumped into Libya. The proliferation of the arms into Ghana, we know that it is a fact. Policing it might be very difficult, but then again, look, let's say influx of weapons from Libya into Ghana. We are looking at, okay, these cargo trucks that have been packed with cargo or timber or whatever supplies, that probably these arms are being laid underneath before the goods are packed on. It'll be very difficult to kind of offload every single truck to check the content before you allow them in. But we don't have the resources to do that. But then again, if we conscientize the citizens, right, to be vigilant, to be aware that if they see anything or if they hear anything that is not right, they should report it immediately. You know, we will be able to tackle. But
people are coming to your house nighttime. This is not things that you are reporting. This is a case where we were driving on the highway, nighttime in Ghana. Most people are very, very fearful, or even I will use the word scared to travel because of attack. In Nigeria, it's the same. In South Africa, it's the same. Most places people are not. Now, American government has defined us as critical in terms of people going into the country. They feel that their citizens, there are certain places they would not like them to go. You go there at your own risk. Based on this, insurance company do analysis of this and they say to themselves that because of the risk, if you're going to do insurance is very high because of risk. What can be done? Do you agree that that is the case? And then we could be living dangerously in some areas, and this has been there, and we have failed to address this over the years.
Right. With regards to the comparative or the advisory given by the Consulate of America or the United States Consulate, it's a research that has a different interest. I wouldn't criticize it on the basis, but that is actually designed for the American government interest. So if you are asking that question in a different context, I would rather will switch to an institution report such as Institute for Economic and Peace. If you look at the comparative of which country are peace, the score Ghana for instance has is equivalent to the same figures that UK has. So on comparative basis, Ghana is equal in terms of country which is actually peace to live in. If you are telling me American government report for advisory report for travelers heading to Ghana is saying, well, Ghana is at this stage that should deter people from visiting. You can actually do various searches online, and then actually it will come out differently. And the best way to actually discover or find the accuracy of some of this information is actually speaking to people locally and then see what is actually happening on the social media, because there's a different trend to some of this traditional way of looking at data and interpreting them to suit whatever specific nature that will suit the authors of these reports. So when it comes to country security profiling, it has different dimensions, and it should not be obscure to certain interests. So I think some of those reports could be a bit misleading if you look at that in that context. I wouldn't advise anybody heading to a different country or anybody heading to a different destination that do not actually matches what. And if you have any interest in visiting any country, the first thing that you look at is some of this information that comes up. So if you Google...
so Accra, for example, Accra is being assessed as critical threat location for crime. Yeah. Now, Nigeria is assessed as critical place. South Africa is assessed as the same thing. You know, so there is an issue here. If someone, even an investor, want to go to that country now, and this coming, you know, if the government feel that it's not right, then they have to challenge it and prove that this is not happening. So the crime is happening. Armed robbery is happening for citizens and also for people coming to the country. Now, do you agree that there are issues of armed robbery, and then there is a way we need to kind of reflect, and then for us to address it, to help us grow as a country and develop?
Yes, it will be remiss of me to sit here and say we do not have problems with armed robbery and thuggery and burglary. We do have those issues, but when people portray it in their own interest, it becomes problematic. Why? We need to step up, right? We've got journalists, we've got vloggers. Right now, if you check Wadamaya is doing a very good job. You can check his travels on the African continent and how he's portraying. Other vloggers also do portray the state of Ghana, where they travel through the countryside and show how safe it is for people to visit. On that note, that is on the side of the security reporting on the state of the country. But in terms of the issue itself with the armed robbery and crime and that, as we mentioned, the root causes with employment is one of the key areas that should be looked at.
You have said that already.
Right.
Yes. Here it is. Do you agree? We want to talk about crime that is happening.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
We want to talk about it.
Yes.
Okay.
So
now,
community policing is one of the key issues where if we are able to focus on that aspect, where we empower the community to be, we are not saying vigilantes, but then again, we should empower.
But most, you're talking about community police. Is policing working in Africa or in Ghana, for example, whereby you may see criminals who are going to rob a family are wearing police clothes. You know, they're using police gangs. They're using police clothes. You know, so there is a problem.
Yeah, it is really challenging in the context you are putting it. But if we are to come on policing, we'll say yes, our policing are doing their job. It's just a matter of willingness to look into that specific area of tackling armed robbery. I think if you look at the last budget review in the PwC report for Ghana on the state expenditure, you could see there's a reasonable increase in where the Ministry of Interior and other agencies under those areas has really gone up reasonably to tackle this. It's just a matter of willingness from the look, or from the perspective I get. It's just a matter of willingness from the police force to look at this area and then specify their target, or targeting that area specifically to deal with this problem. Given the example of civilians using police service uniform in committing some of these crimes, this is issues that have to be actually come from the top of the policing, because we're coming from the military background. There's no way anybody could have access to military kit when they are not in military. So if any police, and we understand we share the same similar training, or we come from similar background in the policing, the police force also have the same ethical standards and the same standard of duty. So we expect the police services and the senior, or the policies in this area have to be implemented with good focus on these areas and monitoring that, because I think that is an issue of monitoring. It's not an issue that cannot be handled, because given the service understanding nature of how it is operated, this is an issue, is trivial issue to be dealt with overnight, that I think it can be dealt with if they are willing to look into that specifically.
So on the basis of that, do you think that, for instance, Ghana, Nigeria, or other African countries like South Africa, is it a safe place? And is the government doing enough to protect people and also investors coming to the country? Is this the root cause that you struggle to get independence there?
I would say yes, it is a safe place, because as I did mention, there are people who are flocking into Ghana, moving from the UK to settle in Ghana. On saying that, I wouldn't play it down that we don't have security issues. We do have security issues, but as my colleague just mentioned, some of the concerns that have been raised, it's down to internal monitoring systems that people should be able to monitor, the equipment that has been issued out. If internal checks are being regulated properly, some of these stuff could be handled. Could you remind me what you just said again? What was that again?
Investors going to the country. But before that, I just want to say this. Well, there was an incident, for example, in Ghana recently, where robbery gangs kills 3 in Ashanti region. 8 armed robbers, have shot and killed 3 people in Ashanti region in what authorities describe as dramatic spectacle. They injured someone. They went into the family home. The saddest part of it is that a 3-year-old, who was there was also killed in the process. Events like this could discourage even you sitting here to go to Africa, to go to Ghana, or other places like Nigeria, South Africa, and places like that, because of what is happening there. When you are at peace in your own house, then people break in, and then they come there, they kill you. People feel threatened, and it's happening day in and day out. These are some of the things I'm talking about, where we have live cases where people are causing issues and making it difficult for people to sleep at night time. When you go to the Western world, how many doors do you see have iron gates? Now, in your own country, you see iron gates. Maybe some people have about 3 or 4 iron gates. You go out, you have to come in certain times. Some people feel that they cannot even go home when they feel that where they are, it will take them past 12 o'clock. They rather stay at a hotel or find somewhere to go. But here, some people even enjoy night driving in the Western world.
Yes.
But when you are in Africa, people don't want to go out night time. They are scared.
Yes.
And this is why we are doing programs like this, to educate ourselves in terms of finding ways forward, making us aware of what is happening, and how we may be able to help in terms of government policy.
Yes.
So these are happening.
Yes. So in relation to that, if we have, I don't know if it was maybe I can't remember the years, maybe in the 70s or back in the 80s, where they had a place called Kaukudi Junction. I had a little bit of story that my father was telling me that the guys, you know, are Ghanaians who went to Burma to fight. Some of them got back and they didn't get the remuneration that they were supposed to be given. So they used their military skills to be bullying and robbing people at Kaukudi Junction place. And some of them will attack people with knives and take their money and that. But that issue went on for a while. When it came to the authorities' awareness, they deployed the police and the soldiers there, and they mounted what's it called, posts, and that effectively got rid of that situation. So if we are looking at, you know, effective presence and then maintaining the presence of police, if we have an area that these issues are prevalent, if we need to up the numbers of the police, then fine. It comes to it will boil down to funding. So if the funding of the police have to be increased, then we should look at that in the policy implementation. So I would say effective presence, and then if there need to be that the police and the military could do a joint operation in these hotspots that people know that these are the areas, then fine, that should be what should be done, so that this will serve as a deterrent and to give that sense of security for the locals.
Yeah, I'll add a bit of points to what you're saying. We have given the size of the budget, this governments usually operate. In Africa, most of the African governments have similarities in terms of defense and police force spending. From the point we see some of these things, I think it's using the numbers available to them effectively to do the core job. So if we isolate, or if you look at the specific areas where these are becoming a bit more on the rise, we can actually hone into that specific areas and deal with it. And I'll come back to the same point that I mentioned earlier. It's a matter of willingness for the police force or the police service to have the will to say, well, we're seeing this is becoming, the number of records we're having in Accra or say Nigeria or Lagos or Johannesburg is rising. How do we deal with this and then curtail that? If the police force or the police services are willing to do that, I absolutely believe in them. They have the capacity, given the current climate of government they have, to deal with these situations. So it's a matter of willingness. I'll stress on that again.
Yeah, so the willingness and then prioritizing, you know, because there are so many issues that come through the windows of the police, and they have to pick and choose which ones they react to or which one they respond to.
So what can be done to change the perception and help reduce crime like armed robberies?
As I said, it is effective presence to cause to.
What do you mean by effective presence?
Okay, so if these areas that the reports are coming in, that this is what is being experienced here on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, we know the hotspots. We can deploy the police and the military together to mount posts.
But you know, for instance, places like in Ghana, Nigeria, and our brothers in South Africa,
right, there
is not one particular hospital. The armed robberies operate on a different level. They want to go to the bank. They want to go to the bank to steal. They prepare themselves and they go. Right there, like, I mean, there was a case in Nigeria where I was watching it, whereby the people went to bank in Abuja, and you know, they have their guns, and they went there to rob. It's not like they hiding. They just go straight. They prepare themselves and go. And they go for the money. In Ghana, it happens as well. There was a case whereby a Lebanese businessman went to the bank to collect money. Yeah. On his way, he was robbed by armed robbery. It was, you know, exchange of gunfires, you know. So it's happening. Is there a way to educate the public? For instance, the case of this man going to the bank to take money to pay the staff. There is the Lebanese man who has a business in Ghana. Yeah. In cases like that, there could be a way of advising him, rather than these days using money, maybe back payments. You know, things can then happen. Yes. You know, I mean, we cannot turn a blind eye to make see, because the way you guys are saying it is like it's not happening.
No, it is happening. What you've just said, right? It boils down to the issue of awareness and also educating the people. Specifically with this Lebanese guy who went to the bank to take a bulk amount of money to go and give to the employees. I mean, there could have been other measures that he could have used, probably using mobile
Trees
money.
have been put on the road to stop cars passing where they've been robbed. You know, things are happening. It's happening every day.
Well, any crime involving violence are actually planned before it actually gets executed. So in situations like this, these guys actually monitor their victim or plan to make sure they execute and succeed, because it's a game of chances. They calculate the risk before they actually do the execution. So in a community where we have this prevailing, there's so many other systems, or we have to look at the root causes of some of these things. Why is this happening? If we look at the years, let's say the last 10 years, how many records did we have in armed robbery in, say, Lagos or in Accra? What have we done to make sure these numbers are dropping? What have we done in terms of infrastructure-wise or equipment or dealing or giving capabilities to the police to deal with some of these issues? These are some of the things.
So who has to give these capabilities to the police? Now you're talking.
Well, yeah, it's a matter of collectiveness. It's a collective issue. The civilians, well, usually in the force we say your police is as good as the individual or the civilians. If we expect the police to deliver a quality service or a quality force, the civilians also have to be educated to the standard where they have to do their civil duties. So doing our civil duties involves creating ourselves, getting the awareness or educating ourselves to the point where some of these things, because each of these things happen in the community, and these communities are aware sometimes in those cases where what is happening there. Giving back, given the rise of urbanization, most of, if we look at to how we used to live back in the days, we used to live in the small communities in local areas where everybody knows everyone. So if any crime happens there, it is easy to fish out. If any stranger or if any person comes within the community, it's easily to identify this person and say, well, this is a new person. So if anything start happening, or if there begins to be an occurrence of something that do not happen, we start to look at our surroundings. Now we are having urbanization, or there's a surge in a lot of people moving into the cities, where people actually, most of the cases, don't actually know what they are coming to do in these cities. And then when they come, different challenges, they come to face challenges otherwise they were not expecting, because they were coming to these cities for greener pastures, until they come there and realize that their anticipation or what they were expecting is actually non-existent. And that is where it develops into some of these areas. So it's an issue that most of these African governments, especially those who are having the recurrence of this problem, or it becoming a problem, a big problem to deal with, have to look into the root causes of some of these areas and address them accordingly.
So let me add a bit.
So how do Africans feel as being, for example, some countries that have been kind of assessed as critical, like places like Ghana, where we've been assessed as critical by the United States government, you know, as a travel advice.
Well, our coming.
You know, how do people feel? I mean, what they're saying is that street crime is a serious problem there throughout the country, and especially in Accra and other large cities. Pickpocketing, purse snatching, and I think it's embarrassing when you see it as a Ghanaian sitting there and hearing that, oh, this is how your country is being described.
Okay.
You know. And yet still, we are encouraging investors to go to our country. Okay. Why haven't we dealt with this so that the image can then change?
Yes. So let's say, for instance, right, this is a TV station, and you're broadcasting. You are the only TV station who's broadcasting, and whatever you say, there might not be other counter information that is being put to it, right? So I put it to the government, right, that if these foreign countries are branding your country like this, how are you branding yourself? What information are you putting on the internet? Right now, if I type this...
No, they are saying, listen to this, they are saying that the Ghana Police Service,
right,
this is for the advice given on American government website, the Ghana Police Service,
yes,
has labeled, they are not saying they labeled, they are saying the Ghana Police Service has labeled certain areas as flashpoints
Right.
because of the large amount of crime.
Okay.
So they know the problem is there. And what they are saying is because of the lack of police presence and other factors in the area, that made them dangerous to everyone.
Right.
The answer is in itself. The lack of police presence, which I did mention earlier. You know, bolstering the numbers. If their budget have to be up, then so it should be. If they should up their numbers so that their presence will create a deterrent, so that these crime will be minimized, then that is what we should do. And on that issue that you mentioned about the banks being attacked and that, Ernest did mention earlier that before, as we do, you know, before we go into operations, we call something reconnaissance, right? You would survey the area over 10 times, 15, 20 times, checking out all the vulnerable spots where your getaway points are. So you should be able to offer these deterrents there. Like, let's say the banks. Okay, if you don't have effective police presence or security presence, that is one. Your CCTVs, are you portraying that we are being monitored 24/7 to create awareness that if you try to rob this place, you'll be picked up. You know, so these are some of the things. If you put it across that this place is well lit, is being monitored, it'll be very difficult for people to get away with these stuff. So I would say they should do themselves a favor. If you are a bank or if you're an institution or even if you're a homeowner or something, you should get expertise to check if you can't do it, but check your vulnerabilities of your building or your company, and then bolster it to counter these attacks.
Kenya is assessed as level 2. You know,
on what basis?
They're saying that the date of this, they're saying that Kenya is assessed as level 2, indicating travelers should exercise increased caution due to crime and tourism. You know, and people should not travel to the Kenya-Somalia border and some coastal areas due to terrorism. So Ghana is assessed as critical, but Kenya is assessed as level 2. And if you look at other different countries, it's all different assessed. So obviously they're looking at it in different ways.
Yes.
But of all this, what can be done to help with armed robbery before we go on to cybercrime?
Okay, so I would say, you know, awareness, educating the people, you know, to well, before that, I'm jumping a bit.
But
you know,
going awareness, but have you considered that in terms of the theory, upbringing? Now, a child who grew up in a family of poverty, whereby they're struggling to kind of make ends meet in a family,
right?
It's more likely for that young person, the probability of peer pressure and others that could then influence that young person to go into that armed robbery for a quick buck. I mean, there are cases after cases in various different African countries whereby people are experiencing difficulties in this area of work. But young people, instead of them going to school, they want to be Sakawa person or a Yahoo boy who they will make quick buck.
Yeah, so with regards to the report that you mentioned in the state of that report stating that Ghana is critical, I did give an indicator.
Did you have a look? Did you
have
you checked?
I've looked at that report.
So it's right, yes?
Well, I wouldn't say it's right, but
no, the report is there. Have you seen it?
I've seen the report and I've read it thoroughly. And as I said, it's geared towards certain interest. So if Ghana government or Ghana consulate is giving advice to somebody going to Afghanistan or somebody going to China, that advisory is strictly based on their sentiments when they are doing it for their citizens. But the actual picture could be totally different from what is indicated in the report. Example of what I was giving, I gave the example of doing a look at the comparative data of the Institute of Economic for Peace. The data, if Ghana is classified with the same overall score equivalent to that of UK, so if the US consulate is giving a report putting Ghana critical, I would expect them to do the same way for the UK. So I don't see how the critical, how it could be interpreted to whoever is intending to visit. If whoever is planning to visit Ghana will consider that information critical to affect their personal safety, it will be wise for that person to also consider the same coming to UK, because we have the same overall.
But the thing is, okay, now in Nigeria,
ratings.
in 2019, they assessed Nigeria as level 3, indicating travelers should reconsider traveling to the country due to crime, terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, and piracy. Yeah,
Yes.
This is how they assess it.
Yes.
So now, if you look at other analysis from other countries, South Africa and others, you know, so each country is assessed differently. So I mean, the people maybe they did take their time.
Yes, I mean, the one I'll take credibly, which is very independent, is the Institute for Economic and Peace, because that one is not done by a specific country. It's actually very independent. So I'll prefer to use by that. If they rate Ghana overall safety or overall peace equivalent to that of UK, I prefer to go by that rather than go by that information authored or designed to suit specific interests of a certain state.
Yeah, but having said that, no, that doesn't detract from the fact that we still have these problems. You know,
Of course.
we do have a problem, you know, which every country have got their own problem. UK have got their own problem, that knife problem and that. But we should look at ourselves and brand ourselves well. The internet is there for everybody to use. And it is our duty to put on the internet and portray ourselves how we want the world to see us.
But then it have to be evidence-based.
Of course.
Yes,
Of course.
it have to be evidence-based. But if you are saying that the analysis which has been given by the U.S. government or OSAC,
Yes.
but for example, they have assessed Egypt as being what? As being a medium risk. They have assessed other African countries as being a low risk. Some are critical, some are medium, some are high level, some even they don't want others to go there because of risk.
Right.
Yes.
Now, if we have evidence to say that our police are able to stop the crime before happening,
Yes.
I think no one can stop crime totally,
Yes.
but to a higher standard. You know, you have video cameras around. When something happens, you'll be able to track. You know, roads are good, not for people to put trees on the road and take people's money. Not when you are sleeping, people jumping all over. Some people are not even lovers of dog, but now they have to love dog, because if they, you know, people even have dogs, they don't let them out until nighttime, because the main aim is to stop
Play the security role.
you know, it's happening, whereby people are even going, if even they cannot afford certain life, they have to go for it, because they may have to employ somebody as a gate man. When here in this country, you go in and out and come free. So that kind of, until we reach that level, then you can challenge the report. Then you can say, listen, we have things there, we have measures in place to prevent these things. If not, I'm not in agreement with you.
Well, we can agree and disagree, but based on the sentiments, I would prefer to stick with the data or the report by Institute for Economic and Peace, because that is actually putting certain, that data is actually independent.
But they're not living with the people there.
Well, but how do they also?
People are slaying at home.
Yeah, but these guys this report, the authors of this report are not living in Ghana. So I wouldn't actually buy. I wouldn't expect somebody who is sitting somewhere, desktop research, or collecting certain samples and then classify that as critical. You have to actually break your definition or interpretation of critical. It have to meet with certain other independent bodies. So I will not buy or not accept one specific report that have certain interest in certain geography and say, well, this is a credible, or
Well,
this is.
we're going to, I'm not cutting you, but we're going to talk about fraud, internet fraud, other fraud, 419 fraud, whatever fraud. We're going to talk about it now. But before that, this program is sponsored by Word Remit. Word Remit is the one who sponsors. And if you want to send money anywhere in the world, you know, in Africa, other parts, all you have to do is you download it on your phone. It's very fast, reliable, and secured. If you want to send money, if you have not done it, please do it. Just download the app on your phone And then if you want to send money, then it makes it easier for you. Very fast, reliable, and secure. Also, you are watching this program on Omega Live. And Omega Live, we also have sponsorship from Omega House. Omega House helps support us in terms of what we're doing. The number will be on the screen if you need anything to be done for you in terms of if you're doing any occasion or anything that you want our support, we'll be able to do for you. If you want printing to be done, we'll be able to print it for you. Artifacts, anything that you want, we'll be able to do it for you. If you're a business looking for all your paperwork, for example, printing, complimentary cards and everything, we'll be able to also do it for you. And also Cosmet Cocktails, we support Cosmet Cocktails, support us in terms of sponsorship. If you are doing any party or you're doing any special occasions, they'll be able to cook very good food, do all the arrangements for you, set up a cocktail bar, and then all is yours. Very good supporting network. They can make your garden like your main entrance to your home, where you can have it there and then set everything up. And their food tastes really nice. I'm a witness to that. So if you are doing anything, their numbers will be on the screen and you'll be able to see that. Scammers. Ghana lost over 35 million in 2016 through internet fraud. And in 2017, we lost over 69 million in 2017. And in 2018, we lost over 105 million. And we lost another 77 million to cybercrime in 2019. And it seems that things are on the up and up and up. And the cyber attacks seem to be escalating in the coming years, given the increase in internet penetration and massive reliance on ICT devices for transactions. The head of Ghana Police Service has expressed a worry over the alarming rate of cybercrime in the country. Nigeria have done the same thing. Yeah. South Africa, they're all struggling in terms of African countries. Police seems to be struggling to deal with it and seem to be losing the battle of strategies to deal with the above crime. Let me say something to you. You see, I have a friend who feels that someone was interfering with his accounts. Immediately the person bought something for £5. The bank, for some reason, was able to know that they have a knowledge of his shopping kind of style. They know the things you buy. Some people will buy tobacco, they will buy their vodka, they will buy their Coke, they will buy this. A friend come to buy it. Yeah. So now, the moment you go and buy something else, straight away, the bank himself have detected it and said, that's it. Yes. And then tested the person and said, oh, are you the one who goes to buy something different? Because it's not your shopping lifestyle to detect. Yeah. And it seems like in Africa, things are just happening. Yeah. It's just happening and it's going up. And it seems like the same staffing levels, the same management team, everything is the same. So every year it's just going up and up. Yeah. The lack of strategies. It appears that the current measures in place to help curb the menace are not working. Do you know why?
Well, with regards to cyberspace, it's a new and it's emerging space that actually we have to stay on top, just like we stay updated to our phone updates. It's something that is very hard to catch up. Mm-hmm. So most of our systems, especially looking at even it is a big challenge in UK here, and I think most of the developed world are having similar challenges in their states. The UK used to have the same problem, and just last year or two, they have devised a new department which is called economic crime, which is actually seeing this specifically to deal with the cyberspace, because most of the police force or the police system they have were not sophisticated to deal with some of these issues that emerge in current trends. So the same way we expect most of our policing system or the the way we used to deal with some of this crime before, there were nothing like this, and the sudden emergence of this new crime. And if our system or policing system is not well equipped to deal with this challenge, definitely we will lose it. So we expect the system, or we are actually on the advantage to leapfrog war challenges that we have to jump into what most of these Western countries are doing by setting specific team to deal with this area. I think in Ghana context, there is a team that deal with serious crime,
But it's increasing.
Well, the increase will be there because of numbers, but we'll come to why this is increasing, because back in 2010,
Our listeners want to know.
yes, back in 2010, the number of people that were using mobile phone in Ghana is not the same as the number of people using phones now. And there were not even smartphones, but now most of this mobile phone was not mobile money was not in existence in Ghanaian context. Even here, they're now planning to how to use this effectively in the economy, because mobile money is one thing that most of these perpetrators actually use as an escape and then outweigh people of their money. So it is expected for the system or the police system to actually train specific officers or specific staff to deal with these areas by equipping them with the right
But for how long they dealing with it? Because it's happening.
Well,
It's happening now. Even young people. The question is, Patrick, young people want to go into this sort of crime, which we will talk to Arnold later. But young people want to. They want to push into this area. In Ghana, they have what we call Sakawa boys. You know, in Nigeria, Yahoo boys. You know, so this is happening.
Yes.
So and
you did give a chronology of how much the country has been losing
Yes.
year upon year. The question you need to ask yourself is, what have we learned and what are we going to do, right? Before I come to what to do, I'll just cite an example. Right now, for the past 3 weeks now, UK, the Prime Minister's advisor is pushing hard for the military capability, the military strength, to be reduced by 20,000 people. Why? They want to shift that money into cyberspace, into cybercrime. That is what they're looking at, to be able to monitor that space, because they are seeing that is where the fight is now. So if this advanced country is focusing on that side, what is that telling us? So therefore, let's see what are we going to do now? If we don't have the knowledge or the know-how, as he right said, we should set up a specific team. We outsource from people who are doing it best. We are struggling. Would you be able to help us in?
so whose problem is it? Is it the government or businesses?
It is the government. It is because the government is the leader. He dictates what is happening in the country. So if they are it's about priority as well. So if you are losing money year in, year out, you should take a step back and ask yourself, how are we going to deal with that? A typical example is that I was reading an article that they were saying that new phone hacking technology has been given to the Ghanaian police to be able to help them curb crime. So, and the software came from Israel and one from the UK and another from America. So we are moving in the right direction, but it should be optimized. So if we have been losing money for that year in, year out, then we should outsource, the expertise, the expert to come in to our aid, where they are coming to a specific branch to educate them, and then they also educating their teams to be well abreast with the change of time.
So, I mean, Africa is home to 1.21 billion people. It's up from just 800 million in 2000, with the median age of just 19.5 years. So African population is the youngest population that is looking for productive employment, social engagement, free expression, increased global connectivity. So it seems like we are moving far beyond the notorious 419 stuff to now email scams, code of legislation they call it, coin code of legislation aimed to suppress such scams. So young people, you have people who just want to just get a laptop,
Yep.
sit on it the whole day, and they can be at home. All they need is internet, and then try and find different ways of making money.
Yeah.
And they feel that they make more than going to work. And now with this, since they've been successful in doing what they're doing, then it makes it difficult for them then to go and look for work. Because working for the whole day, they will say, how much will you give them? So now we have a problem of one, helping our young people with employment, and having a system where they will be able to track them before they hit. And that is where the problem is.
Yes, and you've just nailed it, but you've not seen it in the right context, right? Here in the UK, what they normally do, when they catch these youngsters who are very smart and they are using their knowledge in a fraudulent way, they employ them into the security forces. So therefore, they pay them well. They make sure that they are secured, and the knowledge that they have that they are using to cause crime.
So while they were in prison, it's a kind of modeling that young person,
of course,
to use their strength in a different way.
Yes,
Absolutely.
this is the task of the government, that these people that have been arrested that are doing these online internet fraud and stuff, they will be able to share and educate, the police force or the intelligence force, the knowledge that they have. This is what they do here. So why can't you do the same? This is what I was saying about the outsourcing. And if you have,
this is not outsourcing.
It is outsourcing in a way, because you have the corporate in your hands, but it's about smart thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you've got the person, you've got him. But what mechanisms are you going to put in place that the person that doesn't use that knowledge to the detriment of the country?
So could this then be a factor that it could then discourage investors into the country? Helping us.
That's a factor, but to buttress on what Patrick just mentioned. We know the number of graduates, computer science graduates that we produce in year on, year out. And then we should also be able to track the destination of these guys, what they are going to do. If you are producing 10,000 graduates or 20,000 computer science graduates and do not have any destination for them to do, what do you expect them to do? A young guy is not being employed, not having anything to do productively. These are the guys who are smart, and they are coders who understand how these systems work. I do not expect the current chief of police to be computer savvy as somebody who have just graduated with computer science with the current updates and softwares. So you have to understand these guys are smarter in the emerging trend that we have. How are we going to do, or how are we going to deal with this? Most of these guys need to be actually earmarked year on, year out, to say, well, out of this year, or out of the graduates that come out this year, we want to employ the top 1,000 students from computer science. So we have lots of universities in Africa.
Do they have to have a computer science degree to do
Not necessarily, but I'm just giving you an example. This is one area when it comes to cyber. Most of these guys are computer science graduates,
yes,
right? What do you expect them to do with the knowledge they have, and they are not being put to good use?
Do you think that there should be a way of, from primary education, young people having access to this to help?
Yeah, that is the policymakers' job. I mean,
Will that help?
It will absolutely help, because it's good to start learning from the infancy. You become normal to you, so it will not be
because
anything.
It seems like in Africa, one of the main problems is that would somebody who have studied the computer science in the UK,
yes,
take a job in Africa, would they pay difference?
I know, because I know a lot of experts going to Africa to take certain jobs from there. But the thing is, if we do not value what we are, the government is actually investing in these graduates, and if you do not value your own investment, somebody will plug them. That's why
are the universities equipped enough with people graduating from universities with this knowledge?
Yeah, I would say,
we have a department that actually specializes in this area as part of police training, as part of security in your area, yes, and then as part of learning from university, then at police, and then other agencies like immigration, and also maybe immigration and
Yeah, the learning is a big issue, especially I'll use Ghana context. If we have to understand crime in different perspective, we actually have to have criminologists to a certain level. I was just discussing with Patrick last time. We were having a conversation, and it was just this year that we actually found out that criminology as a degree course was not actually studied or was not actually offered in any of the universities.
10th January.
It was
In
10th
Ghana.
January
None of the
2020
universities.
In Ghana.
in Ghana.
So
Right.
therefore, where was the police? You have to be in the police to learn.
Absolutely, but policing services or police training is completely different from criminology.
Yes.
So these are some of the elements that we need to actually look into it in depth and then be able to deal with some of these crimes and then understand crime in its holistic way. So what I was saying with regards to the graduates that are coming out with computer science graduates and the government not actually maximizing how to deal, because now we are all using smartphones and obviously we're moving to a different paradigm. And this is where we have to actually capitalize on these areas that we actually is underdeveloped. So most of these graduates, if anybody or if any of these guys, any of these leaders have opportunity to use what they are producing, why if you are investing in these young guys, fund their education to graduate level, why are you not maximizing or why are you not putting that resource to good use for your advantage? Because these guys are computer savvy.
Did you look at it also in terms of maybe other African countries and did the comparison?
Well, if you look at Kenya, for instance, I mean they are doing brilliant, and then Rwanda, Rwanda. So we can do a bit of comparative analysis and see what we can learn from Kenya or Rwanda. So even Nigeria, there are a lot of computer savvy scientists. There are a lot of computer savvy student graduates in Nigeria and Ghana equally. If you are producing this number of graduates and you're not finding a destination for them, I mean, what do you expect from these young guys to put their productivity? They will find the best way to also maximize how they will survive.
Rather than African governments saying that, okay, for instance, Ghana, we lost 35 million in 2016. 2017, we lost 69 million. 2018, we lost 105 million. Now, 2019, we lost 77 million. And we are on a high already in 2020.
Yes.
Now, instead of us borrowing money and all that, if we take those money and invest in this area, we will be generating money
Absolutely.
to help us
Exactly
without
as you
even
said.
borrowing.
Exactly, because if these guys, if they complain that they haven't got money to fund these training or pay these graduates, right? Okay, let's say we employ them for them to come and stop these crimes from happening. So that money that they've saved you, can you use that to pay them?
Yeah.
Of course they can. It's about priority. And that's what I've said. It's not that we cannot do it. It's not that we've not got the knowledge it is about priority. It's about time we sit up and look at what is important to us.
Okay. So now, what is the way forward then? I mean, our discussions have raised a number of questions about the future of cybercrime. You know, can we anticipate what the future will bring for us in terms of cybercrime and security? Because young people are going there and they're doing it. And I think it's time that Arnold join us now.
Of course.
Yeah, because of time, yeah. So, what is the future of cybercrime?
Well, I'll come back to what the point that Patrick did raise, that the UK government is actually cutting the number of police, the military force into a certain number. So you would expect the same, you would expect other sovereignties to adopt the same strategy going forward. So most of the resources that are being spent in other areas, there's a shift to how much should go into cyberspace and how they're going to develop this. If you look at the MOD, which is the Ministry of Defense of UK expenditure on cyberspace, you can actually, that will give you a taste or a taster of what is to come ahead. So if these countries which are well positioned in geopolitics are making this decision, those developing or the third world countries do not have a choice in going back. We can only jump on and then do similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we are kind of start? Because we're using this cybercrime for various fraud. Welcome, Arnold. It's good you have joined us. You want to do a small introduction so that people will know your area of expertise?
First of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone that's tuned in today. And I do come from a criminology and psychology background. I also have my master's in terrorism, international crime, and global security. And
so your first degree is what?
Criminology and psychology.
And then your master's is?
Terrorism, international crime, and global security.
For such a young, so you have a great future ahead. But this crime. I mean, the good thing is that you grew up in this country, you're born here, but you also have tasted Africa, what it's like, and grew up there. Now, comparing the two as a young person, you know, crime in Africa, the way it's managed, and here, how do you see it?
I mean, first of all, I do believe that the first most important things that I need to look at is understanding the root causes as to why crime happens in Africa and why crime happens here. And obviously, if we was to take Africa, for instance, obviously some of the main root causes as to why crime happens there is due to poverty, and obviously in terms of for young people especially, it does come from peer pressure. And on the subject of poverty, it does come from more often than
young people. You mentioned peer pressure.
Yeah.
Do you think peer pressure is what makes somebody go and sit down and do cybercrime?
Yeah, I think obviously I do believe for especially young people, peer pressure plays a fundamental part, because with peer pressure comes the fear of isolation. And with the fear of isolation, especially for adolescents, it is easy to mold their thought process in terms of how they want to live their lifestyle. And it is easy when you mold it to appeal to the behaviors or the beliefs or the groups that they do find themselves in. So as a young person, if you are in a group whereby everyone in that group is engaging in the criminal activities, just to eradicate the fear of isolation, you would want to join in just to share the same beliefs or similar ideologies so that you don't feel left out, and it creates that sense of acceptance.
Do you think that the parental values then become significant or important here? Whereby, as a young person, you have your own identity, irrespective of who you mix with.
Yeah, it does, especially obviously in terms of from a parent perspective. Also, you need to make sure that you're giving them the specific training or the type of knowledge that you have acquired. And obviously in terms of like young people, obviously, like I mentioned, in terms of adolescents, it is easy to mold their perspective. So as a parent, it's vital that you instill into them the importance or to understand the consequences of their actions in terms of when they do engage in criminal activities.
So what would you say to young people in Africa? Because it's happening. The crime is there. Were you afraid to go out nighttime in Ghana?
Obviously, yeah, I would say, yeah, because my parents didn't really like. It gets instilled to you that when you go outside at night at a certain time, you stand a chance of getting into some sort of trouble. But in terms of young people, I would say the most important thing is to just awareness. Just awareness. Try to just take it upon yourself that you do need to be aware of your surroundings, and you do need to educate yourself in terms of what is currently happening. So that allows you to come up with countermeasures on how to deal with situations when they do occur that you haven't prepared for.
Since we're talking about cybercrime and Arnold is here and it's a young person,
Yes.
Issues about child exploitation, for instance.
Yes.
Do you feel young people are exploited in Africa? Because here it's more open, like parents, the way their family arrangements is and everything.
Yeah.
Some parents have parental control and things like that. Do you feel that young people, when they have their phone, do the parents even understand what they're doing there in the internet?
No, not really, because obviously technology in the 21st century is very advanced. It is very advanced, and obviously with more people going through poverty in Africa, we do find out that in more cases than not, most people who do engage in criminal activities come from lower social echelon. So it makes it extremely difficult, or it makes it, they do find a lot of barriers when they're going for legitimate means of trying to survive. So obviously this also falls down to them being limited in terms of the opportunities and them being restricted to their social morality. So they don't get access to good education, better information that will facilitate the type of lifestyle that they need to live. So Yeah, I do think it's a serious
You want to
matter.
say something as well to add it to it?
Yeah, I mean the way the youth or the younger children or the younger generation understand, because they were the millennials, we call them.
Yahoo! You heard of Sakawa and Yahoo boys?
I've heard all of that.
Yes.
Giving Sakawa and Yahoo boys, they are much more sophisticated.
Because you know what, with a quick, I will let you continue. I'm just saying, with a quick bag, they can make what? Buy their Range Rover, be driving around, get a big house, and they feel that they are on the go.
Yes, it boils back to the same issue I raised. If you are producing this number of graduates with these skills and are not planning destination for them, or do not have a designated destination to absorb them into productivity, then it's coming at the loss to the state. So most of these guys, or most of these youth, are much more intelligent with these smart systems than most of their parents, because most of these guys are now millennials. So they have a better understanding of these softwares and these programs as to how best they can use it to the advantage if now given the right opportunities. So we expect the policymakers to look at some of these specific areas and then craft a specific way to absorb it to the state benefit. If we are not putting measures, or if we are not putting the right policies to secure or to achieve this, then I think we are doing this to our own detriment and our children's futures as well.
Okay. So what can businesses do? What can the government do to protect themselves from this crime? Because crime is happening. No, Arnold, what do you think, what can they do to help themselves?
Yeah, obviously, like I mentioned previously, it does come down to awareness. So if it means that the government have to work with a lot of media outlets to raise awareness in terms of have certain times during programs. So like, for example, like there's certain times during programs to...
But these armed robbers, they are there. You are showing awareness. They will hear you. But at the end of the day, they have to eat.
Yeah.
They need food on their table.
Yes.
You know, they need, some may have children, they need to look after them. So we are not saying that if someone have, because the theory behind it is that if you look at the theory, when someone comes from a background of poverty, and they're really struggling, and they're saying that, oh, they had enough, they're more likely to go into that. Now, as a government, if you are able to help these people to get employment, and they have something to do, then you take away that kind of thinking from there. So if the government start raising awareness, will that be enough? What can be done? What can be done?
You see, in terms, like you mentioned, like you just highlighted, it does come down to ultimately creating opportunities for people. So when you create that opportunity, obviously it diverts their attention from engaging in criminal activities to make a living, whereby when you've created that opportunity, they can look for better means in terms of facilitating themselves, catering after their family, and obviously, so it falls down to opportunities. And
building family values.
Yeah.
You know, helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is on the controlling measures. I think the government has a regulatory instruments, or there's a regulatory instrument to deal with these areas. But how effective are this regulation in this sector?
What are some of the regulation instruments?
Well, the Computer Use Act is one of them, and then there's several others that have specific in financial services and other areas, because we know people or the users can actually exploit this to even exploit our kids by using unsolicited different form of crime. So there's so many other ways that the regulator can actually implement to curtail this. But besides that, I think we have to go back to the root causes of this. I expect, or I have high hopes of Ghana government, be this or whoever comes next, that Ghana should get to a point where we'll be able to have a reasonable welfare state where people will not have to actually struggle or live in abject poverty, where they struggle to get a daily meal. Because when you put people to a tight corner, the people get desperate. And out of desperation, people are tempted to do things that they otherwise would never do. So we expect our leaders or our state to start putting a welfare system in place to safeguard this. At least those who are not employed after school, or those who do not otherwise have the capacity, should have a certain level of earnings weekly or monthly to curb this. I mean, the president kudos to him. He has demonstrated this during the crisis, during the COVID crisis. So this has demonstrated that Ghana can actually start implementing a welfare state where we'll be able to at least give the average person or the people a decent way of earnings, even when they are not employed, to a certain level, so that there will not be other vices tempting them to go to other situations that otherwise will not.
There are those measures are there, but there are crime here, but not in that level.
Why? So if people, let's say two people will have the same case, somebody will be hungry for the whole day, they will choose. It's a matter of choice. He can choose to pray and do whatever and not even click to his mind to go and then attempt stealing somebody's.
So in your final analysis about this area of work in terms of armed robbery and in terms of cybercrime, what is your final say about it?
Right, my final say will be a matter of understanding the problem and the root cause of it instead of dealing with the symptoms. So it looks to me that most of the cases that we've been dealing with armed robbery and other form of crimes in our society, we've actually been dealing with the symptoms rather than the root cause of it. So the root cause is actually understanding. And then one other side that I'll look is how we actually understand our identity. It looks like the average Ghanaian or most of us is actually losing our identity. We're not actually understanding our identity. And therefore, as we do not really get a good picture of our identity, we're losing our civil duties. So civil duties, we should all expect that if we do our bit, the police system or the forces or the agencies will also do their bit, because your police is as good as the citizens. We cannot expect something different from the citizen when we are not law abiding. So we should expect to do our civil duties, right. And then also we expect the government or the systems to actually put the right infrastructure and the need of the people. They have started some good job already, and we have the expectation that they will continue to do good job for the state, and not just Ghana, because we expect that the example our president is setting now will cause for others to emulate. So we expect him to also start in the sub-Saharan context to become the first welfare state, and then start meeting people's need to the bottom core. And then from there, I think some of this problem we'll be able to deal with them as time goes on.
Thank you. Arnold, do you feel what is the way forward for our young people in terms of the government helping the young people? What is the way forward in terms of all this cyber crime? Your final analysis of it. I know you join us late.
Yeah. My final analysis will be similar to what Ernest said in terms of making people understand, because I do feel like there's a big misconception when it comes to understanding the causes of why it's happening and the motivational side of why it's happening. And also the causes you do get to look at in terms of why people are doing it, but the motivational side looks at obviously the incentives in terms of the end goal. And I feel like once this is understood and once the government has a way in combat in dealing with these issues, then we would have to come up with contemporary measures on how to totally eradicate this uprising cybercrime in Africa.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Crime has been a major issue in Africa. Thank you, Mr. Ernest Ansah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and Arnold Boateng, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And also Mr. Patrick Mensah, who is a veteran, British Army veteran. Thank you very much. Next week we will continue our program we'll be looking at policing. Not next week, 2 weeks time, sorry. We're looking at policing in Africa. We'll be looking at, in terms of stars, what is happening, the main issues about crime within the police force, and how that could, what we can share that information to help us in terms of awareness and learning, and how also they may also learn from it in Africa. Yeah, thank you very much. Our program is sponsored by Word Remit. Word Remit is the one who sponsored us in terms of this program. And if you want to send money to anywhere in the world, you can just download it on your phone. You could go to your apps, you download Word Remit. They are fast for money transfer, reliable and trustworthy, and is very secure. So if you're looking to send money, please, if you have not downloaded it, download it on your phone. Also, we would like people to like our page, Omega Live. Like our page. If you're not like it already, like it for us. And also share the program. This is a new program that we have started. And if you want to join us, it doesn't matter if you are an African and you want to join us from any country, just give us a call. Our number is on the screen. Give us a call so that your participation was important to us in terms of information sharing and also how we may all live as happy as ever. What is it like for an armed robber, at night to come to your house? Having your nice time and the next thing armed robber turn on you. It's not a nice experience. So we all want to work together, for the future of Africa. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless you. Good night, CEO Joe Bedu, for your hard work with his